I knew Eleanor from before, but this was a new business for her as well. I'd heard about what she was doing, but I didn't really understand the impact. And I think many times you don't understand the impact unless you go through the process. And so for me, my pain point was I was going through a digital transformation for my company. And my difficulty was that, especially during the pandemic, we had lost that connectivity with people. Most of my business was relying on traveling, on networking, on conferences, none of which we could do. So I really had to pivot. And I had worked, like I said, I'd worked with Eleanor before, not in this capacity, but when it came time for my contractor or my consultant to move forward with the digital part of it, I basically said, I want Eleanor. And they said, well, part of our process is to evaluate, who's out there and what's out there. And I said, I respect that and I appreciate it, but I really, really, really want Eleanor because I trust her. I believe in her. She's fantastic. And for me, I wanted to be part of that. I wanted that to be part of my business. And so that's how it got started. And they interviewed her and liked her, I suppose, because next thing I know, she was interviewing me and trying to figure out more about who I was and how I wanted to be seen. Developing or creating the visibility around who I was and what my business was and how it could best serve my clients. And, really it was about, doing like a 180 because my visibility was no longer visible. I had no visibility at that point because my LinkedIn was just a regular LinkedIn profile. I never really understood the impact that it could have had. And, I may never have understood it had Eleanor not come into the project. So for me, it was all about visibility and how do I now become visible in a different way? And that's where it started. Eleanor came in and started interviewing me. And like I said, we knew each other before, but this gave us an opportunity for her to see me aligned with my own goals. So that like they matched, she was able to hear me, see me, and make sure that everyone else heard and saw me as well in the context of who I wanted as clients. I had been around for a while. Obviously, this would have been I don't know how many years it is now, but probably, it's probably 38 years now. So it was over 30 for sure, say 35. And, normal for 35 years in business, I don't know what that is, but it was maybe, 5 to 7,000 contacts, I guess. And not that it's measured by contacts, but I've always prided myself in knowing most of my contacts and how I met them, where I met them, and developing relationships with them rather than just trying to get more. And so, I would have, I suppose, the normal amount of outreach that others in my kind of tenure would have, based on the physical visibility that I had been experiencing. But all of a sudden, after Eleanor did my profile and posted it, or I posted it, and all of a sudden, like the frequency of those contacts, number one, but then also the quality of the contacts. I was no longer just getting random people wanting to connect, but I was getting meaningful connections. And I thought, wow, where is this coming from? At first, I thought, well, I haven't really done anything. And then all of a sudden, I got a nomination in 2021. I'd never had a business award, and I'd been around since 2011. And so, and I did receive that award. I don't know how many people they would have, but normally hundreds. But I did receive that award, and so I started really looking at it and saying, Eleanor, it was you. Like it was you who made this happen because I'm still the same person. Like I didn't really change, but certainly the results were different. And I had that whole process to attribute it to. The ability that Eleanor had to unlock that extra kind of connection into my authenticity. So who I was not just, meeting someone and connecting with them. It was like it was going deep down into the people that inspired me, the vision that I have for the world, the fact that I want to change the world. It's not easy to show that in writing or in words because normally everyone says they want to change the world, and so for me, it was that connection that I was feeling deeply connected with the people that were reaching out to me. And the reason why they were reaching out to me was because they saw something in me that correlated to what they wanted to do and that really resonated with them. I think that the people that will really see the most amount of value out of it are the people that perhaps don't either have the time or the ability to tell their story. And I would say that that's most people. I'm always being told that I'm outgoing, gregarious, whatever the words are. The fact is that I'm an introvert, and so when these times come to tell my story, it's really hard for me to talk about myself and to talk about the things that I feel. And so if you are that person, and I would say that most people are that, most people have a hard time talking about themselves. Those are the people that could most benefit from a conversation, at least with Eleanor. The ability to have trust in someone. And I think for me, that's very important. I operate on a premise of trust when I'm doing business with people, and I expect that they want the same thing. They want to be able to trust the person that they're doing business with. And so, I had done a survey before this process. I had done a survey, well, through another project. My colleague had done a survey on my behalf, and she interviewed 3 people: a past client, a current client, and a client that I wanted to have. And all of them said that in working with me or in knowing me or wanting to work with me, it was because of this foundation of trust. But I was never able to articulate that unless you knew me. So now all of a sudden, Eleanor was able to articulate my authenticity and the ability for them to relax and be comfortable that it was someone that they trusted that was going to be working with them. My LinkedIn connections actually doubled, like not just between then and now, but like they doubled a couple of years ago. They had already doubled. And so, yeah, so I think that that's a really important thing to address as well.